The people in Florida were played, especially the immigrant community there. The Cubans, the Venezuelans, the Haitians. They were led like a lamb to the slaughter by the MAGA leaders who pretended to be representing their interests. People like MAGA Republican Congresswoman Maria Salazar, who promised Donald Trump's not going to go after the immigrants. Don't worry, Donald Trump won't take away the temporary protected status. She goes, I worked on the Dignity Act, and Donald Trump promised me that he was not going to screw our constituents. He's not going to screw over the Venezuelans here. He's not going to screw over the Cubans here. He's not going to screw over the Haitians here. I want to show you how immigrant communities in Florida are responding now. But first, let me show you this clip. This is from November 11, 2024. After Trump won the election, you have MAGA Republican Congresswoman Salazar going on PBS. There's a reason Trump wants to get rid of PBS, because they've got good journalists like this. And watch what Congresswoman Salazar says. She represents Florida's 27th congressional district, areas in Miami, Coral Gables, places like that. Watch what she has to say. Play this clip.
If I may, I know our time here is limited. I'm asking about the potential deportation of hundreds of thousands of people from your community.
The deportation is going to be among those criminals who are the gang members, the gotaways, the Tren de Aragua. I am sure.
Not all 200,000 undocumented in your community. Is that what you're saying?
I am sure that that the Trump administration is not going to be targeting those people who have been here for more than 5 years, that have American kids, that don't have criminal records, that have been working in the economy and paying taxes. I am sure that they're going to hone in on the criminals who arrived less than 4 years ago. Because I wrote the Dignity Act, and I am the first one who understands that you have to give some type of dignity to those who have been here for more than 5 years. People who have roots in the country, not people who are coming to commit crime.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. So let me show you what was just published in the Miami Herald. And there was an op-ed that was written by a major Miami political donor, a healthcare billionaire, blasting these Republicans. And he donates to Democrats and Republicans. He supported a lot of Republican careers and campaigns. Used to be a Republican. I think now he identifies as an independent. His name is Mike Fernandez. And as Miami Herald says, in a scorching letter, open letter that was written in the Miami Herald, Cuban-American healthcare billionaire Mike Fernandez is urging Cuban-American Republican leaders from Miami to stand up to Donald Trump's immigration crackdown and speak up or make room for others who can. Here's what he says in his letter. If you can't find your voice at this moment or tell the difference between one dictator and another, then perhaps it is time to make room for others who can have a vision that you may lack. Fernandez told Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Miami U.S. Representatives Mario Diaz-Balart and Maria Elvira Salazar and Carlos Jimenez in an open letter that was published in the Miami Herald. He sent a version of the letter to each of them individually on Monday. It says, in the letter, Fernandez, a deep-pocketed Coral Gables political donor, said Trump has adopted a posture of cruelty towards immigrants and accused the four politicians of having betrayed the communities they represent by staying silent. He goes, I know what it means to flee tyranny, he said. Like you, I carry that history in my bones and that pain in my heart. But like a growing number in our community, I have watched with dismay as the very values we've once found sanctuary in are now being attacked by a previously unthinkable threat, the sitting president of the United States. In the face of all of this, the silence from our own leaders, the sons and daughters of exiles, has become deafening, he added. That silence is not neutrality nor ignorance. It is complicity and cowardice. Your silence has caused fear and real harm to many in our community, in your districts, he goes on to say. He continues and he told the Herald, our four representatives are just bending the knee to the presidency because they're afraid for themselves. They're afraid for their job, Fernandez said. They're going to be remembered for turning their back on their community. It's time we find somebody who fights for what is right, for American values, for this community. Powerful words indeed. And it goes on to just tell you, Fernandez is the chairman of MBF Healthcare Partners, a prolific political donor who has backed both Republicans and Democratic candidates. And he's a former Republican turned independent. He backed Jeb Bush's campaign, and he said he thought Cuban-American elected leaders and members of the cabinet like Rubio are afraid to disagree with Trump. They're afraid for their jobs. They are afraid of their own shadow. Going back to that first clip I showed at the outset of Congresswoman Salazar, Donald Trump did indeed revoke temporary protected status for hundreds and thousands of Cubans, Haitians, Nicaraguans, Venezuelans, Miami being particularly hard hit, hundreds of thousands impacted in Miami. Now, the status of that is, as of April 15th, a federal judge in Boston stopped the Trump administration from deporting 500,000 Cubans and others. But the Trump administration is fighting that. Donald Trump's made multiple posts how he thinks that ruling is unfair. He wants to revoke the temporary protected status of family members of a lot of people who voted for him, Venezuelans for Trump, Cubans for Trump. And he either wants to send them into concentration camps in El Salvador or to take the exiles and send them back to the countries that they fled as political exiles, whether that's the Maduro regime in Venezuela, the Castro regime in Cuba, or elsewhere, where they're likely to face political persecution, torture, or death. This is what Donald Trump's plan was all along. We tried to warn people when Donald Trump said mass deportation exercises, what he was referring to. But people like MAGA Republican Congresswoman Salazar and others, you saw the clip at the beginning, they brought the lamb to the slaughter. They brought their people to this position. Let me just remind you what went down on April 15th. A federal judge stopped the Trump regime on Monday from rescinding deportation protections and work permits for more than 500,000 Cubans, Haitians, Nicaraguans, and Venezuelans who were granted entrance into the United States under a humanitarian parole program during the Biden presidency. U.S. District Judge Indira Talwani ruled after a hearing last week that the paroled migrants can stay in the United States as they pursue immigration benefits. In effect, her ruling will prevent the Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem from revoking their parole status as part of the administration's plan to end the humanitarian program. On April 24th, quote, while the Trump regime, she says administration, are correct that the secretary's discretion in this area is broad, their conclusion that the secretary's actions are wholly shielded from judicial review is incorrect. Now, elsewhere in Florida, in Leon County, for example, we saw the Trump regime kidnap an American citizen and keep this American citizen, Juan Carlos Lopez Gomez, in prison pending ICE proceedings. Fortunately, Juan Carlos Lopez Gomez was released after a groundswell of attention was brought to this matter. But this 20-year-old U.S. citizen was treated as an unauthorized alien, kidnapped, placed in an ICE detention center, and it took protests to happen before action was achieved. Jackie Llanos posted this video, credit to her. Protests happening outside the Leon County Jail, where Juan Carlos Lopez Gomez, who was born in the U.S., is being held after his arrest for illegally entering Florida as an unauthorized alien. Play this clip.
Estamos y no nos vamos. Y no nos vamos. Aquí estamos. Aquí estamos. Y no nos vamos. Y no nos vamos. Aquí estamos. Aquí.
And here she is, Jackie Llanos, at the courthouse. She's doing great independent reporting. Give her a follow. And here she talks about how a U.S.-born citizen was arrested in Florida for entering the state as an unauthorized alien. Play this clip.
I'm here in the Leon County Courthouse where we just got done with the first appearance of Juan Carlos Lopez Gomez, who was detained Wednesday in Florida, and he had charges of entering the state as an unauthorized immigrant. However, he is an American citizen. His mother came to the courthouse, showed his birth certificate and his social security number card, and that still wasn't enough to get him released. The judge just said that she was sorry, and the attorney working for the state said that because he had an ICE hold, he couldn't be released, even if the court didn't find probable cause for his arrest.
And just to share with you what the MAGA Republican Congress members are doing, a lot of them are going to the concentration camp, extermination camp in El Salvador, where 75% of the migrants brought there don't have criminal histories. They're giving the thumbs up. They're taking photos like they're in Disneyland, Abu Ghraib-like photographs that they're posting on their socials as though it's like a trophy. Sickos. Freaking sickos. Here they are. Here's Dan Mauser, MAGA Republican Congress member, saying, well, they may not be terrorists, but they could be terrorists in the future. Here, play this clip.
And so he gets deported. He's here illegally. We have a United States senator and a bunch of knuckleheads in the House that now say their main priority is bringing back someone. Maybe he's not a terrorist, but he's a potential terrorist. He's a terrorist watch list person. They want to bring him back. You saw the El Salvadorian president. He laughed. He said, why in the hell would I bring back a potential terrorist back to the United States when his home country is El Salvador?
And finally, here is one of Donald Trump's top advisors, viewed as their counterterrorism czar, saying that anybody who advocates for due process for migrants is a terrorist. Play this clip.
I realize that the taxonomy of politics in America is dead. It's not left and right. It's not even Republican or Democrat. There's one line that divides us. Do you love America or do you hate America? It's really quite that simple. And we have people who love America, like the president, like his cabinet, like the directors of his agencies, who want to protect Americans. And then there is the other side that is on the side of the cartel members, on the side of the illegal aliens, on the side of the terrorists. And you have to ask yourself, are they technically aiding and abetting them? Because aiding and abetting criminals and terrorists is a crime in federal statute, Rob.
Well, I hope the people in Florida see what's going on right now. I think it's great that Mr. Fernandez wrote that op-ed and showing courage in this moment. But enough is enough. I mean, these MAGA Republican Congress members who are still enabling this behavior while literally their constituents are getting killed and tortured and sent to death. That's what this is. This isn't some abstract political wonky concept. Like, you're sending your constituents to die for Donald effing Trump. Are you out of your mind? This is why you wanted to go into politics, as Mr. Fernandez says, to go from one dictator that you were in exile for to go to a worse dictator in the United States, to prop up another dictator. You fled a dictator to prop up a dictator who's worse than the dictator you fled, who wants to work with your dictator to kill the people who you represent? Power meant that much to you? Really? I'm Ben Meiselas. This is the MeidasTouch Network. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 5 million subscribers. Thanks for watching.
New Meidas merch drop. Check out the latest pro-democracy sticker packs, t-shirts, hats, sweatshirts, and more. All at store.meidastouch.com.